everybody, Jill here. Welcome to a Keto Catch-Up. So it has been a while since we have caught up on how we're doing on our ketogenic journeys. I hope you guys are doing well. Some of you may have started around the same time I did. Maybe you're thinking about it, and maybe you have been doing this forever. Whatever caught your eye to click on this video, welcome, and I'm so glad you did. So yes, guys, I've still been doing really well. I have not regressed and eating bad things for myself. So in a little bit, I thought it'd be fun if I take my little doodad here. This is something new that I got. And it is actually a little mini tripod for my phone. So I thought rather than haul my ring light and my big old Canon camera that I love, but rather than sort of trying to haul this into the kitchen, I could just take this and maybe mount my my camera to it. And I want to show you guys a drink that is quite a little treat for me, and it reminds me of my very favorite kombucha that I used to love drinking, and it's sort of a ginger kombucha, but technically, you know, it's using, well, I'll show you in a little bit, but it tastes so much like that. And it's super easy to do, and I love, you know, having like one a day if I'm wanting it. If I don't crave it, I don't have it, because, you know, I think we need to listen to that, especially when it comes to things like apple cider vinegar and all of that. If it doesn't sound super good to you, don't force yourself to have it. Your body may not need it right then. Anyway, I'm going to take you into the kitchen. I'm going to show you something that I love drinking. I hardly ever test my ketones anymore, you know, and I would test my glucose at the same time. So I hardly ever test those anymore, but because my weight loss is so dang slow, I decided, you know, it has been weeks since I've tested my ketones. What if I have popped out of ketosis and I don't even know it? So I went ahead and tested, and I'm still doing good. Those ketone readings are where they should be, and where I feel good. So that's good. And my ketones, I believe, are 1.6, which is good. And my glucose reading was 80, and that's good for me too. So yeah, I can get very high with my ketone readings, and although I start not feeling so good, and I've talked about that a lot. So that's low 2s, upper 1s are where I at least feel good. And I feel like as long as the scale is sort of going down and I feel like I'm not regressing in sort of how I'm feeling, then I just sort of aim to stay there. And my body sort of likes to do that by itself. And everybody's individual. Some people, you know, they do really well and they're at like 0.7, 0.5, 0.8. If you are seeing and feeling your body change for the better and your energy is increasing and all of that, then hey, that's where your body is doing really great. So don't get caught up on that ketone number, you know, and that the higher it is, it means that you're in the best ketosis. It's just not like that. So definitely don't get too caught up in that. I know for myself, I'm 54, I'll be 55 in the fall, and it's just inevitable for me that I knew when I started this that my weight loss is going to be slow. And it is slow. And I went probably 3 weeks where it just didn't do anything, you know, and then just recently it's starting to sort of slowly tick off again. And so I was looking, because I every now and then I will record my weight on my phone here just to keep sort of an idea as to how I'm doing. And it looks like back in April the 14th, so practically exactly 1 month ago, I was at 156.8. I started at 175.8 in December, the end of December. And so that was there. And I've been hanging out really in the upper 150s since February. That's how slow I am. For instance, February 28th, I was 159.8. And then again, Saturday, March 14th, I was 156.2. And then April the 14th, I was 156.8. And then today I weighed and I was 152.4. So I am going down the slope, but it's a slow process. But that's okay. You know, at least I am going down. So you have to continue to eat the foods you know you're supposed to and try not to eat the things you're not supposed to, but you do have to allow yourself to eat in a way that you can sustain forever. So whatever that means to you, and that doesn't mean that you should go eat at McDonald's or Burger King or have yourself a pizza. And really, you know, some people do really well with cheat days and cheat, you know, whatever that is, whether you have a cheat day during the month or you have a cheat day during the week. I had experimented with that back years ago when I was doing the paleo diet, and I absolutely cannot do that. I cannot do it. It just sort of reverses and halts everything that I'm trying to get my brain to sort of dump when it comes to signals that it's sending me for carb cravings, for sugar cravings, and then I'm in this constant loop of sort of struggling with that. So I would rather just not do that and put myself sort of more in it. Just think that when you're doing this forever, you do have to remember that you have to sustain this. So if you feel like a pizza, for instance, we get these cauliflower crust pizzas, not the ones that come in the box. My Lord, I think it's called, what is that one called? Boy, you got to look at the carb count on these, because and also many of them aren't made just with cauliflower. They have different sorts of cassava flour in there or whatever, which really ups the carb count. So because I'm very carb intolerant, unlike my son, who is, you know, in his 20s, he has an excellent metabolism, he's very healthy. You know, he can consume a lot of stuff that I simply can't without the ramifications and do very well. Whereas I really have to watch it. So if you're looking to kind of be able to get the benefit of a food that you really enjoy, then be very careful. You know, if something says keto on the box, that doesn't mean it is. Again, there's dirty keto and clean keto. Well, these, and they're called, I believe, outer aisle cauliflower crusts, and they're about so big, and they're just made with cauliflower. And you sort of just, they're not ever gonna get crispy, so you're not gonna ever get a crispy crust. They don't taste like pizza crust, honestly. You know, you just sort of put that out of your head. It's like, I am not gonna recreate something that is gonna taste like I remember pizza being, but it still gives me that sort of kind of feeling. And the carb count is very, very low. And then by the time you put maybe a couple tablespoons of Rao's, R-A-O''S, makes a very good, pretty darn clean pizza sauce. And so, you know, that has carbs. Tomatoes are fruit, and there's natural sugar in there, so you're going to have carbs there. But, you know, I can make myself a little pizza and enjoy those toppings and whatnot, and just being really careful not to incorporate a lot of sugar in it, though. So, you know, I try to get really nicely sourced pepperoni, and try to get a very low, if I can find no sugar. It is pretty easy actually to find like a sausage without sugar in it, and something that's fairly clean. I shop mostly through Whole Foods, so you know, that can be a little expensive, but my staples are very few. But anyway, that's just an example. It's like, I'm gonna be eating like this forever. If I wanna have an occasional pizza, I gotta have something that is not going to completely derail me. And this definitely is a very keto-friendly version. So I do have a package of one of those, there's 2 of those little cauliflower crust things in a package. So when we go in the kitchen, when I make that drink, I'll go ahead and show you that. I think I'm doing really well. I would like to be losing weight quicker. I would like to be able to see myself shrinking faster, but I am also not exercising. So if I did that, it would probably help my metabolism maybe, and things would start coming off a lot faster. In the beginning, I do think it's important that you check your ketones and your glucose and all of that. But then as the months go by, it does become more of a way of life, and you sort of forget to do those things because you're sort of in it, you know, and it's like flowing, and it's not something that you have to think about so much. So I feel like I'm entering that zone now, which is great. So I'm gonna figure this out, mount my phone, we're gonna go in the kitchen. All right, so the only thing is that sound quality is not gonna be as good, of course, because I'm just depending on the sound here on the phone. All right, guys, so this is just kind of a really lovely treat to have if you're in the mood, you know, and when you taste it, you'll know right away if you like it or not. And if you don't like it, you can either reduce the amounts of, we're using the Bragg's organic apple cider vinegar. We're gonna do a tablespoon. And we're also doing the Ginger People ginger juice. So this isn't super inexpensive. It's not a juice to where you just drink it separate like a juice. This is concentrated 100% ginger, and it is very, very strong. So again, I do a tablespoon of this and a tablespoon of the apple cider vinegar. You can start with a teaspoon maybe, bump up, and try to figure out sort of that blend that your body is really liking. I have been loving the S. Pellegrino. This is their sparkling natural mineral water. Okay, there's no sugar in this. There's nothing in it at all. It's just a sparkling water. Never used to like sparkling water. I do love doing this. I don't drink this by itself. And I do like a couple flavors that they have of this, but again, I never drink it by itself. I usually will make something like this, or I will add, if I don't make this drink with these, then the other thing that I will do with my Pellegrino is I will do, if I feel like I really need it, I'll go ahead and do my electrolyte powder in there, which is sort of flavored with stevia and stuff. So, all right, so get yourself, you know, a pretty good size glass. And then, I'm gonna go ahead and pop it with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour this in here. But I find that you do have to add this because both of these things, you know, are very strong, and you will have to add a little something in there. And stevia is the sweetener that does not, that I prefer if I'm going to be using a sweetener at all. You may have decided not to use sweeteners at all because it does sort of trigger the brain that this is something sweet, even though it doesn't necessarily raise and spike insulin levels. Stevia, for instance, same with monk fruit. It doesn't do anything with those levels, but it does still tell the brain that was sweet, and you may run into issues of then craving sweet things or craving carbs. So be really careful, clue in on that, and if you find that you're starting to want sweet stuff or you're starting to really crave carbs where you weren't before, I would bet it was because you started using some sweeteners. Be careful, be very, very careful. All right, so I definitely do shake my ginger juice, and I just like to shake it up really good. And I add a tablespoon. I refrigerate that. This is, you know, it has the mother in there. I do not shake this. And I add a tablespoon. And again, I just did a full one of these. This is 11.15 ounces. I think they make different sizes, so this is the 11.15 fluid ounce. All right, and then, I don't know, I find that I'm good somewhere between 8 and 10 drops of stevia. So I'm gonna do about 10. And because this is really bubbly, I don't want to activate that too much, so I'm just going to do a little chopstick here. Kind of stir that up. And that is it. All right, so these are frozen. So it's called Outer Isle Plant Power Pizza Crust. And I order them through Whole Foods. So one whole crust, because there's 2 in here. So just one crust, the whole thing. There is 4 carbs, and those are total carbs. I never
I never pay attention to that whole net carb thing. That has gotten me into trouble before, which is where you look at the fiber and then you can subtract the fiber from the total carb and you pretend that is the count that's okay. I personally think that is something that I personally cannot do, because that means that it can start out at 12 carbs and by the time you take away the fiber, it's like 2 net carbs. I just think you should be really careful of that. So yeah, this has fresh cauliflower, whole cage-free eggs, Parmesan cheese, yeast, garlic, basil, and oregano, and that's all that's in these. So if you're like me and you really miss, having that sort of pizza feel, then don't think it's going to taste like pizza crust, because it won't. It never gets crispy. My son and I have tried everything to crisp this thing up. I have tried cooking it so many different ways, never ever gets crispy, so I just have given up. And you just sort of, it's like you embrace what it is. And anyway, I wanted to share that with you because this has been a pretty good find, I feel like.
Honestly, the day that I have to start really measuring out my food is the day that I probably won't be able to do this anymore. I have to know that I can eat until I'm full. And I'm one of those people that I love the feeling of being full. So if I don't get there, I will eventually get there by just grazing. And that's not a good thing. It's like, this really works well when we go in between meals without anything. So at least once during the day, I got to know that I am fasting for at least 5 hours. Because it's during that time when you have nothing, not even a littlest morsel past your lips. You can have something like this, or you can have some tea or something like that, but no food at all in between that time, because that is when those ketones spike when you're not eating. They spike, and then you are burning fat. You're burning your own fat at that point. And if you have just one little morsel of something in between that time, it stops. It just stops automatically, and it's not going to do that anymore. So if you can do some sort of intermittent fasting like that, where it's either between breakfast and lunch, or maybe between lunch and dinner, and then I'll realize, oh my gosh, I've gone 5 or 6 hours without eating. Well, I felt okay. I wasn't having hypoglycemic symptoms. I felt great. I just wasn't hungry. And then I would eat when I was hungry, and then I would eat until I'm full. And that part, I think, is really important. Then your body is like, okay, that's okay. We can burn fat and stuff, and we'll be fine, because when she does eat, she's gonna eat enough and she's gonna be full. So we don't have to worry about storing that fat for later. And there has been scientific research about that. So I just really, if I'm doing this forever, I just want to know, as long as that meal that I'm eating is a keto-friendly meal and it is something that I can do, then I'm going to eat until I'm full. And then I'm good. And then I am full. And I don't think about eating, until the next meal or until I'm hungry again. And I go sometimes where I kind of only have one big meal a day. So if I eat lunch around the 2 o'clock hour, and it is something like that is very filling, many times I won't have dinner. So like last night, I didn't have dinner really. So what I did is I had some berries, and I sort of had little things, but I didn't have like dinner because I wasn't hungry for it. So on the other end of the spectrum, I'm also not going to eat because it's dinner time and I'm just really not hungry, but everybody else is eating, or it's time for dinner. So I try to listen to my body more now, to where it's dinner time, but I'm really not hungry. So I'm not going to eat something that's like a meal. And then I'll wait. And if I get hungry at 7 o'clock, then I'll have a little something. Maybe I will start grazing and looking in the fridge for something. Maybe what I had for lunch, and I'll have a little bit of that, and I'll eat until I'm full. So that's just kind of what I'm doing. And as long as I feel like I'm seeing changes, my energy level isn't dropping, I still go in and out of fibro stuff, I still go through where I sometimes will get quite fatigued, and I really think that happens less. But when I get fatigued, I get very fatigued. So I'm not, again, I'm not sure what that has to do with anything, but it's just part of I think having CFS and fibro and all of that. But all right, guys, I'm going to let you go. I hope that you guys are all doing well. As always, please shout out down below. Let me know if you are struggling somewhere or what works for you. Maybe, let me know what your favorite sort of quick meal is that you can throw together real quickly. That's a good idea. Do that, because I would love to know. It might be something I'm going to have to try. All right, guys, stay safe out there, stay well, and stay young at heart. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.